Please welcome back Mario Armstrong.
Thank you, Mario. Hey, NetApp community, thank you. Oh my gosh, can you believe this? Day 3, you all are still here. This is incredible that you all showed up. Welcome to NetApp's 4th customer jam session. They've been really good. They've been jamming a lot. Now, we all know this is a smaller session. If you're just still coming in, I see a couple of you. Yes, come on up. Come close to the stage as much as you can so the panelists can see you and feel that energy. This will be recorded and it's going on live, so they'll want to feel that from you all. All right, so we're back again for our final customer jam session of Insight 2023. And our topic for the next 45 minutes is going to be on the freedom of infrastructure. And here again to walk you through all of this and have an amazing conversation with your esteemed panelists and facilitate this whole thing is your moderator, Lisa Martin. One more, Lisa, one more.
High five.
Go, Lisa, go, Lisa, go.
Hey, everyone. Thank you, my friend. So great to see you guys. It's Wednesday. How are we feeling so far? Anybody out late last night? No, it's Vegas. In this session, I'm very excited to bring you a really thought-provoking conversation. As Mario said, we're going to be talking about the freedom of choice when it comes to unique data storage needs. This esteemed panel that you're going to meet in a minute includes industry experts, thought leaders, and together we're going to explore the challenges and the opportunities associated with building flexible data storage infrastructure solutions, from security-intensive on-prem storage to optimize hybrid multi-cloud architectures and pretty much everything in between. But before we meet our esteemed panelists, take a look at this. All right, please welcome this awesome panel from Aston Martin Formula One, Head of Infrastructure and Operations. Jeremy Rogers is here, and he's kitted out too, which is awesome. From Kraft Heinz, we have Head of IT Cloud Engineering, Ashish Agrawal as well. Come on out, Ashish. And from OpenText, Vice President of Technology Services, Anthony Lloyd. Guys, have a seat. All right. Oh, we got some fans in the audience. I love it. All right, guys, we're going to start with, if there's anyone under a rock that doesn't know Formula One, Jeremy, we're going to start with you. Tell the audience about Aston Martin Formula One.
Okay. Aston Martin Formula One is a relatively new team in its name, not in its history. It's taken about 60 years to come back into Formula One. We've been in it since 2021, and we're looking to become one of the best teams, if not the best team, in a 5-year journey. I'm the head of infrastructure and operations there, and that means I look after a team of exceptional individuals that just keep that car on the track and going as fast as possible.
Speed is everything. And one of the most competitive sports. I love it. Ashish, talk to us a little bit about Kraft Heinz.
Sure. Yeah. Kraft Heinz, is a global food company with delicious heritage. Over the last few years, we've been re-engineering the company, to for the future with digital transformation and creative disruption, leading the way we accelerate innovation, while delivering the best taste, fun, and quality to every meal, table that we touch, right? So, my role at Kraft is, I head the IT Cloud Engineering chapter, focus more on leading the Center of Excellence for Cloud, and then my team is responsible for building various cloud capabilities. We lead various product teams that are building various products for the digital transformation and various IT initiatives. There's a massive migration we are going through right now. We're transforming the workloads and moving from on-prem to cloud data centers and things like that. So
Never dull
exciting
moment.
times. Yeah.
Anthony, you're the man to talk to us about OpenText. Dig in.
Well, let's see. I am Anthony Lloyd, VP of Technology Services, and I manage the operations and infrastructure team for corporate IT. We deliver infrastructure and support services globally for all of our users. OpenText is the information company. So we provide products and solutions that allow our customers to access their information and their data from any place at any time. That can be on-prem, it can be public cloud, or it can be private cloud.
Anytime, any place. I love it. Let's talk now, getting into the conversation of freedom of choice, freedom of infrastructure. I want to understand from each of you, and Ashisha, we're going to start with you. What does that mean? And how do you keep your infrastructure competitive?
Yeah, to me, I think it means the flexibility to kind of design, deploy, scale, and manage our technology backbone in ways that kind of best align with our organizational needs. And while we do that, we kind of, traditionally we have a lot of constraints that we operate under, right? So, physical constraints, vendor lock-in, our rigid architectures and things like that, right? So, when it comes to freedom, one of the guiding principles that we have set for ourselves, we call it as freedom within the framework. It's very important because it underscores the importance of providing freedom to innovate, but within a defined kind of framework, which is also adaptable, right? So we call it as codified governance and things like that, right? So it's really an intersection of where the freedom meets the delegated responsibilities, right? It gives room for creativity, adaptability. I think this philosophy really aligns well with our approach to infrastructure, where we maintain kind of right balance between the guidance and the agility that the teams require as they innovate, right? I think that gives us, that plays a big role in giving us a competitive advantage, right? So I can think of things like time to value, flexibility, scalability, the global reach, so a lot of benefits with cloud, right? So that we are able to reap.
Absolutely. Anthony, tell us from your perspective what you're doing there, and what's that competitive edge that OpenText is getting from freedom of infrastructure?
Well, for us at OpenText, we grow by acquisition. So my perspective has a lot of similarities to Anish's. When I think about freedom of infrastructure, I have to have the ability to quickly integrate and interoperate with various technologies and various manufacturers. So that freedom for me means those things are out of the box, capable, and fully functional. The other things that are really important are related to security, performance, and scalability. Because for us, we may have to integrate a large organization, and we need to have the flexibility, and it has to be whether it's in the cloud or whether it's on-prem, it has to have the ability to cover all of those bases for us, and very securely.
Security is an incredible point. So, Jeremy, talk to us about, from a Formula One perspective, I mean, it's one of the most, if not the most competitive sports. How do you see freedom of infrastructure as a facilitator of its competitive edge?
Well, for Aston Martin team, it's not just about the data and the infrastructure that sits on, it's about how fast we can access that data. So the infrastructure has to really feed into that, so we need it when and where we need it at that time. It generates, Formula One that is, it generates a huge amount of data every week, especially peaking at race weekends. We're getting telemetry off the cars, and sorry.
I don't know if that's me.
It's one of us.
Is it you or is it me?
I don't know, but yeah, so we get a huge amount of data off the car every weekend that we're racing. That data needs to be moved across the globe. We're an international sport. We're coming here shortly. And to make the most effective use of that data, we need to ensure that we have the best infrastructure available to us. And what I mean by best is that it needs to be fast. We live in a real-time situation with the race car. Decisions have to be made at split seconds. So that data has to be ready and available on that infrastructure at trackside for it. We can move that around the world as quickly as possible so that we can make those decisions. It needs to be resilient. We need the data to be available when we need it, where we need it, and every time we need it. And it needs to be secure, just to echo Anthony's point. AMF1 has a wealth of data. That data is important to us. It needs to stay secure. It needs to be secure in transit. It needs to be secure at rest. So yeah, it's really important that we have security on that data as well.
Absolutely. Let's talk about weighing options. Anthony, I'm going to come back to you on this. What costs and benefits do you consider with your infrastructure decisions, considering the acquisition strategy, the M&A strategy that's central to the business?
A lot of it's related to cost, tied into time of deployment and cost for deployment. Whether we deploy on-prem or whether we deploy in the cloud, they actually have tremendous impact on our ROI. Obviously, we want to get everything integrated as quickly as possible and eliminate any redundant spend or redundant overlap in cost or hardware so that we can eliminate maintenance costs, software costs, and things of that nature. So those things for us are really, really important. And I think that's kind of the foundation for how we start those discussions. Then the other pieces of it come along where we run into things that may be custom that we have to try to figure out how we eliminate the one-offs. So all of those come into play.
Absolutely. Jeremy, same question. Weighing the costs, the benefits, the options. How do you do that? How do you find balance?
Well, I mean, because of the sport that we're in, cost is really secondary to the performance of the car. So we can make decisions based upon a solution that is the most effective rather than the most efficient. But obviously, we have a consideration that is cost cap, and so something that can make the car go faster, even a tenth of a second faster, is worth that investment as far as Formula One is concerned. So, but that said, I mean, the solution's out there, and the reality is we need to be able to leverage the highest return for that investment that we're making so that we can deploy the best technology into our campus as possible. It may not be a glamorous thing as lifting a trophy, but if the system is introduced that impacts the stability or the security of that estate, then we've made a poor decision.
And it's a facilitator lifting that trophy. Ashish, same question to you.
Yeah, I think for us, we really carefully perform the cost-benefit analysis whenever we do, any project or any initiative. We not only consider the upfront costs, but also like ongoing operational, expenses and things like that, right? When it comes to any spend, there are lots of benefits of cloud, and we look at benefits like scalability and elasticity. The flexibility to pay is important, right? Like options. We have options now. Like we can pay as you go. We can use reservations, spot instances. So when it comes to cost, there are lots of levers to kind of optimize the cost. We don't start with that. We don't want that to become a bottleneck to innovation. So we really kind of, again, going back to the freedom in the framework approach, right? We kind of give freedom to the teams so that they can innovate, but then at a point when we are trying to get ready for production, we kind of look at cost aspects and things like that. So I think we have, with the freedom of infrastructure now, we have a lot of capabilities available. Like we can increase, decrease resources based on our demands. We have options to reduce wastage and kind of keep on improving ROIs. I feel security and compliance are vital considerations as well. Typically, all these cloud providers that we have now offer like robust security features and the compliance certifications that they have, which is very cost-effective than building it yourself in a house, right? So I also feel that benefits of automation and managed services, like reduces the need to kind of manually intervene, manage, and it gives you better reliability and enhance our team's productivity. So I guess a lot of that plays into it.
And I think what I'm hearing is freedom of choice in infrastructure is freedom to innovate, freedom to experiment, freedom to be creative and be able to deliver things in real time, because nobody has any patience anymore, but especially when you're talking about F1 and the times, no patience. Mario, my friend, you have a question from the audience?
You, Lisa. I have that right with me right now, so thank you, Lisa. This is for the panel from an audience member. In your efforts to lay the right foundation, have you found your fundamental needs for infrastructure, have they changed? Have you found that those needs have changed for your infrastructure?
Jeremy, take it away.
That's a good question. At the outset, we knew that we'd need to use large data volumes and that we'd need a fail-safe for those data to prevent loss. This led us to have a mindset which was a possessive outlook on our data. So initially, everything needed to be very much within touch, so on-prem, very tin-heavy, as you would say. Added to that is the fundamental truth that to date, where supercomputing is concerned, the closer the data is to the computer, the faster you can get a return. And obviously, as we've already intimated, getting a response as quick as that makes a difference to us and makes a difference in terms of a decision. Over time, we've come to recognize that that is a limitation. You've got tin, you've got a set bar that you can't go beyond. So we need to look at new approaches that release us from that tin and allow us to get into a more agile and more scalable solution. So with the pace of technology changing today, we often look for that competitive advantage rather than a disadvantage of being anchored to a finite solution in terms of that capacity or connectivity or processing. Aston Martin Formula One team now look at the horizon of technology and as an enabler for our performance. I mean, we're looking for that split second, that advantage to get to the top of the championship. And we look at partners such as NetApp, as we've got here, to see how they are delivering these new ways of handling intelligent data to adopt agile or scalable infrastructure solutions. And in the effort to lay the right foundation, we look at that, and we're really pleased with the way we're going, but it is a journey, and we're only just starting on that journey.
And that's a great point. It's a journey. Anthony, talk to us about some of the foundational changes that you guys have made based on the journey you've been on so far.
Well, a lot of what Jeremy says resonates with me. Because we acquire, some of the things that have really changed a lot, we have to lose our reliance upon facilities. So looking at cloud-based solutions, looking at capacity on demand, is really, really important so that we can quickly make those resources available quickly for us to be able to integrate and bring in locations or add in solutions where we haven't been able to previously, where we would have to go and buy hardware, have it delivered, have it installed. So those things have changed a lot. And as we can continue to go down this path, we want to increase our capabilities to move everything faster, faster, faster. Our goal is to continue to drive down cost while delivering the services much more quickly, and again, reducing our overall spend.
Faster, faster, faster. Sounds like we're speaking Jeremy's language. Ashish, talk to us about at Kraft Heinz how some of the infrastructure needs have really evolved pretty significantly from what I understand.
Yeah, definitely, right? So a lot of that resonates with what Anthony just said, but I would say it has definitely evolved significantly. Our focus has shifted, from managing hardware and procuring hardware and things like that to focusing more on engineering solutions and solving problems for our business and customers, and managing applications and services versus just managing the infrastructure that sits behind it. In the past, we used to be focused more on acquiring and maintaining and all of that. Now our foundation based on cloud services, so which offers great agility and cost efficiencies, right? So now we prioritize more on high availability, fault tolerance, and resiliency and disaster recovery and all those good things that we can focus our energy on versus managing the infrastructure and things behind it. But and then these things have become integral to our infrastructure design, leading to multi-region redundancy and automatic failover mechanisms and things like that. Another thing that I can think of is data analytics and AI capabilities have become more fundamental now. So that's changed quite a bit. Data-driven decisions is key, and every leader is talking about that in our organization. Requiring access to scalable compute and storage resources is behind the scene, very important now. Data is growing every day, and the cloud platforms that we use, NetApp and other services that we use, provide us that kind of platform to get that infrastructure seamlessly. Yeah.
That enabler of the freedom of choice and infrastructure. Let's kind of look into the future and talk about Gen AI, or the so-called supercloud. Ashish, we're going to start with you. How do you think that Gen AI and the so-called supercloud are changing how you view infrastructure?
Yeah, I think clearly, we are on the cusp of a significant shift in business landscape ushered by Gen AI. I feel GenAI opens new possibilities for rethinking the way we work. These technologies promise even greater automation, self-optimization, adaptability, and allows us to focus more on our business outcomes, objectives, and less on infrastructure management. I still go back to that. I feel that a lot of enterprises, are still looking at this new technology and how it comes and all that. I think some people have started exploring foundational models and things like that, but I feel most enterprises would not invest into training their own foundational models, but due to the costs and complexities of doing so, I think they'll instead focus more on adopting existing commercial or open source foundational models and then fine-tune those foundational models to domain-specific applications. We have started looking into it's more POCs and pilots for us right now. But then we are looking into technologies like retrieval augmented generation and things like that, so that we can use our enterprise data on top of GenAI, and how best can we really apply our internal knowledge that we have into that. A lot of these things are quite new and not fully matured yet, so we are being cautious, as we ship functionality and things like that. I feel that the enterprises will generally use APIs to interact with these foundational models and deliver those as services. I think a majority of the training for AI and interferences is happening in cloud because cloud gives you that scalable, elastic, cost-efficient infrastructure options, right? So. And then on top, I anticipate that GenAI will enable us to kind of harness the advanced AI and machine learning capabilities at scale, help us drive innovation, and then efficiency across our organization. While we see a lot of benefits with it, and I think we recognize that there is a need for careful planning and potential challenges in terms of data privacy, ethical considerations. And also the need of skilled AI practitioners to kind of leverage this technology effectively. I think, in my view, deep industry knowledge and proactive risk management are essential to harness the true potential of this whole technology change that we are seeing. Like analytical AI, AI has been there. We've been using AI ML for more than 4 or 5 years now. Gen AI is new, but it also requires robust data foundation. Includes flexible data infrastructure, cloud access, and more proficiency in MLOps and things like that.
So Gen AI as an accelerant, as an enabler of infrastructure changes, adaptation, evolution. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on Gen AI and its impact to infrastructure and the supercloud?
Yeah, I mean, to date, we are restricted. I mean, Formula One as a sport has quite a lot of FIA regulation around what you can or can't do so that they can level the playing field in terms of development. It's important for the sport as a whole to be an enabler to all the teams to make sure that we have a level playing field. There are plenty of use cases for generative AI, or as I like to think of it, as educated AI, because as we've just said, we've been using AI for quite a while now, but what we're actually trying to do is educate it, use the data that we've got, use that wealth and value within our data sets, give it to the generative AI solutions, and allow them to then come back with things that we can't necessarily think about in a short space of time. Where we can find that, yes, we're going to make use of it. I mean, the whole point of progressing and being on this journey in terms of finding new ways and new solutions is to ensure that we keep up the pace at which those answers can come, and will have a beneficial and meaningful impact on how we approach the future of the car development. Because obviously, if we can find that one small difference that at the moment, our competitors seem to have found a few little tweaks. If we can find that next one, then we're looking for a period of time when we are the champions at EBA, and then other people are looking to us for their answers.
Right.
My personal feeling about generative AI, the super cloud, supercomputing is that there's going to be a massive shift coming not too far away. It's around quantum computing. It's going to blow what we know out of the water in terms of high-power computing power. We need to make sure that we are, in a commercial sense, ready for that. In terms of, how do we use it? How can we get that agility out of it? What does it mean in terms of the speed of response? It's going to be almost natural thinking level. But when that occurs, I think we can truly say we've got a supercloud at that point.
Wow. Anthony, what are you seeing from Gen AI and SuperCloud and the positive impacts or opportunities that they might deliver?
I think the opportunities are potentially limitless. I think that with Jeremy as well as Anish, the improvements that we have in security and the things that we can do from a performance and scalability and self-healing potential and the ability for us to proactively have environments manage and scale themselves is outstanding. I also see the other side of it where you have to ensure that your environment and your data has the proper governance, security, and ethical controls in place, because once the genie gets out of the bottle, you can't put the genie back in. The problem is that I want to be assured that my infrastructure is not going to be compromised if my service provider gets compromised. And I need those guarantees because my data and my infrastructure has to be protected. So yes, great potential, but I think we have to be cautious about ensuring those things are in place so that we don't get ourselves in a lot of trouble.
Let's unpack on the security front, Anthony, starting with you. How does security impact your infrastructure decisions? Is it an enabler of freedom? Does it limit it? Is it both?
It's both. We have compliance needs, we have compliance requirements, we have governance requirements of how we manage the data. We're stewards of the data. We don't own it, but we're stewards of the data. So how we govern that, depending upon what those regulatory requirements are, dictate how stringent we have to be or where we can be more flexible in our security mindsets. So yes, it's an enabler and it is a blocker. And so you have to be able to find that balance that allows you to continue to run your business successfully without causing any violations or any problems.
How do you find that balance?
It's difficult. It takes a lot of work. You have to do a lot of planning. There's a lot of investigation required in order to do that.
And I imagine a lot of collaboration, too, with the right folks.
Applications teams, infrastructure teams, security teams all work hand in hand to make sure that we are aligning and ensuring we're following the guidelines that we have to adhere to.
Jimmy, give us your thoughts as we think of the volumes of data that an F1 car generates race weekend after race weekend, and all the testing that goes back on at the factories. Where is security in terms of influencing your infrastructure decisions or impacting that freedom, like Anthony was saying? It's both an enabler and a blocker.
Very much so. I mean, we're a highly governed and highly regulated sport, as I've said before, but we need to make sure that our security sits at the right place. It has to allow the freedom for the engineers, technicians, the strategists that we have sitting in the factory to manipulate that data as they need, whenever they need it. But at the same time, we need to keep that within the infrastructure that we have. We don't want to let it go out into the world, become a training tool for somebody else's AI or anything else like that. So it's really important that we keep governance and understanding of where all of our data sits, what our interactions with that data is, who has that interaction. I mean, we very much adopt a zero trust sort of performance model as a baseline. It's important that you only give people the tools that they need to do their job and not that next notch up. The trouble is everybody wants to be given that freedom, so you need to have those processes in place to make sure that you can allow very fluidly the adaptation of a new bit of admin right or a new access to a piece of data, but it has to sit within the flow of that process. It can't be a blocker to it.
Right. Ashish, give us your thoughts on where is security in your infrastructure decisions?
Yeah, I think security is definitely a top concern for us, and non-negotiable, I would say. And I agree with both, Jeremy and both of them said almost similar things that I could think of right now. We need to find the right balance. We need to strike the right balance. Overly restrictive security measures can kind of restrict the innovation. productivity, user experience, and things like that, right? At the same time, if you use more lax approach, it can lead to vulnerabilities and breaches and significant reputational and financial damages. So the key lies in creating a security posture that protects the organization while preserving the necessary, freedom for growth, innovation, and operational efficiency. That's why I really like our guiding principle. I keep repeating that, freedom within a framework. I think, comes back to that, right? You still need that. That framework is the guiding, force that's kind of protecting you, and security plays a crucial role in anything we do. So I think that's a prime focus.
Absolutely. And you guys have done a great job talking about what freedom of choice in infrastructure is enabling your different organizations to achieve the flexibility, the speed, and the opportunities that are there. Let's kind of dig into some industry trends. I want to get your thoughts. Ashish, we're going to stay with you. What infrastructure trends do you see in your industry, and how have they been influential in the decisions that you and your team have made?
Yeah, so there are lots of things, because as we are going through this digital transformation, there are lots of opportunity areas that we are focusing on. Each area, supply chain and manufacturing and marketing, we have a lot of opportunity areas. We're seeing a lot of different trends. Let me talk about manufacturing. Real-time data needs from manufacturing lines, warehouses, and various sensors and refrigeration units and packaging, food packaging is very crucial, right? So I think what we are doing right now is we are developing various solutions and services that involves like IoT, digital twin, manufacturing control tower. We are building a supply chain control tower as well. Connected worker is another initiative we are working on. So there's lots of those initiatives that are, in flight right now. And then another trend that in our, CPG sector I see is, right from demand forecasting over to optimizing production processes. And, I think the AI's, artificial intelligence potential in food and CPG space is, very vast, right? So we are focusing on AI-driven analytics platform that can predict consumption patterns, automate inventory management, and even develop new products based on consumer insights and things like that, right? So yeah, a lot of new things are coming.
Anthony, talk about some of the trends that you're seeing in OpenText and how is it influencing those big decisions?
I think a lot of the ability now to move to a consumption-based model of consuming infrastructure versus having to make those large capital investments is starting to become much more relevant into the conversation because the cost of acquisition is much better. It also has a tremendous impact on the operations teams. When you go to a consumption-based solution, you don't have to do upgrades. You don't have to do patching.
Yeah.
You don't have to provide any of the support.
Sounds like freedom to me.
It is freedom.
Yeah.
It's freedom in many ways, although you have to have a reliable and diligent partner to ensure that you're getting the service levels that you need. But that's transitioning the way we do infrastructure dramatically, just like immutable infrastructure. Infrastructure is code, where you're now moving away from having to sit and take days and weeks to set up and build infrastructure. You can use Ansible and Terraform, and you can build out an environment in 10 minutes. So those things are having a tremendous impact in how we're doing business and how we're changing the paradigm of how we want to do business.
I love that, changing the paradigm of how you want to do business. Jeremy, coming over to you, you want to be on that podium every weekend. You want that constructor's title. What are some of the industry trends that you're following? Because your sport moves so incredibly fast.
Yes, it is. I mean, obviously, there are constraints. We sit in an FIA-regulated sport, and there's only so many bits that we can do around the core of what is fundamentally a sports car. The airflow computation has to be regulated so that we don't get a skew in our playing field in terms of the teams. But outside of that, what we're looking at in terms of the scalability, flexibility, the ability to put a solution into a cloud scenario where we can burst it at a click of a button, almost, without having to re-provision with infrastructure or purchase more solve nodes, not to get too technical about it, but basically just switch on the light and then get an answer a lot quicker where we can. This is one of the areas that we're pursuing in terms of how do we move that data point out of our technical center on our tin into the cloud so that we can make use of those ideals.
Absolutely critical. I want to kind of now get into the NetApp connection. You guys have mentioned it a number of times today. She's starting with you. How has NetApp impacted your infrastructure? You talked about a migration. Give us kind of that backstory.
Sure. Yeah, no, so yeah, we are, as I said earlier, we are migrating to cloud. So that's one initiative. There are lots of these digital revolution initiatives that are going on. We are also moving from our virtual desktop environment. We are moving to Azure virtual desktops as well. So the NetApp connection is deep because NetApp is the enabler behind some of these large initiatives that we have. For example, the SAP initiative. We are moving our SAP environment from our on-prem ECC to kind of suite on HANA. When we started planning for that, we explored a lot of options for storage layer and things like that because HANA is very compute intensive. Storage also it requires quite a bit of performance, intensive compute it is. And so we looked at Azure NetApp Files. We looked at other options. We found that NetApp Files is really best fit for us. So it revolutionized the whole cloud-based innovation with the first-party service, and like recently as I told you, recently we migrated one of our SAP landscapes to cloud. ANF was the key enabler there. We have another ongoing program where we are now focusing on our North America landscape, and it's quite significantly complex and large compared to what we have done with Europe, and it's a very demanding environment. There are other programs like SAP S4 transformation and all of that, so ANF is playing a key role there as well. I think for us, ANF provides that high-performance, scalable, secure storage service to run mission-critical applications and workloads in Azure. So we are more focused on that. On the on-prem side, we use NetApp as well for storage and things like that. We also have use cases where we have edge scenarios, right? We still have a lot of manufacturing facilities and plants and things like that where we need edge compute at edge as well. So we are focused on that as well. So more to come on that, but that is one thing that we are looking at. How can we bring cloud to the edge, instead of moving things from edge to cloud? A lot of opportunities, I would say. Yeah.
Would you say NetApp is foundational to your digital transformation? Because that's what I think I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's you don't see those things in the front. It's more sits behind the scene. But those are the building blocks, right? Storage is one of the key building blocks. Compute is another one, and I think the partnership that we have with Microsoft and NetApp really is the enabler for us right now.
Jeremy, talk about the NetApp partnership with Aston Martin F1. I see it right there in your sleeve, but I know it goes much deeper than that.
Yeah, certainly it does. Fundamentally, NetApp were our chosen provider for storage. We've already articulated how much data Formula One generates. It's an ever-growing concern for us that where do we put all of this data that we're keeping, because we never delete anything. We've got scenarios where people need to refer back to 2008 just because there's a bit of information there that they want to now bring a new set of algorithms to get a new answer, which they could then put into a new performance on the car. So, keeping that volume of data under control was the first point of contact with NetApp to store it all. And since then, we've now expanded into utilizing things like FlexPod and our trackside to make sure that we are resilient within our race bays. I think we heard it earlier today about how important it is that at the trackside you can make fast decisions, and they have to be self-sufficient because connectivity can disappear between track and home mission control. And it's really important that we have a system that we can rely on, and it's fast and performant, but also with the capacity that we need for the data that we're generating. And NetApp has helped us with that. And going forward, we're looking at the wealth of solutions that have been on show for the last few days to see where we can next make a step in the right direction.
So much potential. Anthony, same question to you. You talked a little bit about OpenText and NetApp, but give us a little bit more.
So you kind of stole my thunder.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say that NetApp, the partnership with NetApp is foundational to our ability to have our infrastructure benefit the business. And when I say that, the breadth of the products and services that NetApp offers, whether it's on-prem, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's on tap, whether it's Keystone, whether it's cloud volumes, all of those things, as we buy companies and we have to integrate them, we basically touch every aspect of those things to expedite the processes for us to get data where it needs to be and to integrate these institutions faster. It's tied to our success. So at the end of the day, that partnership is critical to us being able to continue to do business the way we want to.
That sounds very symbiotic. I love that. Anthony, Ashish, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us, talking about what the freedom of choice in infrastructure means to your industries, the potential, the opportunities there, the foundation that NetApp is providing, and the vision that you guys have for the future and your industries. We so appreciate your time. How about a round of applause for our awesome panelists here? Yes! All right, guys. Let's turn it back over to Mario. Thanks, everyone.